But the report that I had come across with some of my sources before we got on was that because of the misdiagnosis, the Saints have taken Delvin Breaux off the trade block and do not plan on trading him, which in my mind is crazy. I think trading him was a bad idea anyway. I mean, look at the contract. Can you ask for a better contract for your number one corner? He's also a restricted free agent, but after all this mess, the Saints are saying, no. We don't want to trade him. We want to keep him here. And as Barry said, I mean, I'd use a different word, but they're covering their own butts. And I think that's a terrible way to treat your number one corner. Coach alluded to Nick Fairley a little bit. And I'm with you, Coach. It's more than just shaking your head. We already knew about this. It was a pre-draft condition. And now is the time you go, wait a minute, this might be a problem. I think that this whole thing with Delvin really opens up the eyes of how bad this medical staff has been in the last few years. But more than anything, I'm laughing. I think it's hysterical that after your doctors say, oh, not even your doctors, after another doctor says, no, your doctor's messed up, you can just pull them off trade block like that. It just shows how much of a hectic organization the Saints can be.
Well, and I cannot, and this is, thank you, Professor, because he just gave this to me, that we cannot let Mickey Loomis as well as Sean Payton off the hook as well. You cannot do it, guys, because as general manager of your football team, of course, you're going to say, hey, what's my medical staff and what's the prognosis and diagnosis, and therefore let's make determining decisions on the player's future with or without the club, right? Well, if you have a continuous theme that there may be an issue and the player is always challenging the issues and you're always taking the side of your doctors and not really thinking about it, you're not really diagnosing for yourself as a manager that something may be wrong with our staff. And it's happening, and it just didn't happen with one professional team, Coach. It happened with two professional teams that you were in charge of, Mickey. Okay? So we cannot take him off of the hook when it comes to this. And Barry, last thing.
Well, I just would echo everything Brendan said, but the one point I wanted to make was, it's hard for the Saints really to save face at this point. I think the coach alluded to it. Sean Payton really made himself look petty and made himself look bad. Mm-hmm. It was not a good look for our head coach, who's on the hot seat, in my opinion, this year, regardless of what anybody else says. Another 7-9 should get him fired if this was any other franchise in the NFL. But that said, I personally think that the team should publicly apologize to Delvin Breaux. I think that would be one way to at least save face somewhat, because to this point, if you heard what he said earlier today, he acknowledged that the injury and said some nice things about what they're going to do, as far as helping him, rectify the situation. Words you never heard him say. He never heard him say, I just want to take a moment to publicly apologize to Delvin. My comments the other day were misguided and misplaced, and I apologize to Delvin as a player, as a man, whatever. Just that type of a comment or that type of a public statement where you're acknowledging, hey, we were wrong and we want to make things right. You didn't hear that, so it's almost like they're not taking culpability. As Coach said, it's almost like they're just kind of move along and just kind of pretend like nothing ever happened. And I just don't think, I guarantee you, based on the fact that I know for a fact that Delvin Breaux' wife, Casey, saw my article because sent me a friend request on Facebook, which I found, completely odd, out of the blue, that Delvin Breaux' wife would do that. And it occurred to me that probably somebody shared the article or whatever, and she saw it because I basically said in the article, it's exactly what the Saints should do. They should apologize to the man for calling him out, basically, and questioning his truthfulness.
Yeah.
And as you said, Kyle, basically calling the man a liar.
Yeah.
That's no way to handle one of your star players, and especially one who is so beloved in the community that you play in. And that's just, to me, that it would be like in the late 70s, basically telling Archie Manning, that he was hot garbage, and and that he was going to get traded if if he didn't play. Archie had all kind of injury histories in the mid 70s and missed a lot of time. It'd been the equivalent of John Meekum or something, telling Archie, look, if you don't go out there and play with a separated shoulder, we're going to cut you or we're going to release you or whatever. It's almost akin to something like that.
Yeah.
So that's how, to me, Breeze, Breaux, there's a handful of guys that with fans are right there as far as they're heroes. They're literally heroes to people, and you don't treat one of your heroes or one of your faces of the franchise the way they did this week. It's just unforgivable in my opinion.
Okay. Well, and all right, let's move on, guys. I can say a whole lot more.
We could really, what's the term I want to use? We could really bag on the Saints organization all night long if we wanted to. But, what's done is done. They know what they need to have to do. They know what they got to do, and they better get it done because right now their reputation in the sports world, in the world of professional sports, right now they look pretty bad. And they need to do some serious damage control right now.
Very, very good. Very good stuff. All right, Delvin, we're praying for you and hope that everything turns out well up there in Packers land, because I read a couple of things he posted recently. He's like, Brett Favre is really a legend up there. Yeah, he is.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, okay.
There's a scoop.
Yeah. All right, guys. The first preseason game, the New Orleans Saints went up to Cleveland, and it came back a loser a game. We have not won a preseason game in how long?
10 of them.
24th, the third preseason game of 2014 when they beat the Indianapolis Colts in Indianapolis. That was the last game they've won in the preseason. They've lost 10.
Wow. That's a long time, Coach. And the Saints are now going to, is it the Los Angeles Chargers? Yes, they will face them this weekend on Sunday night. But what's concerning to me is when I saw the play of the team's defense toward the end of the game, it just haunted my spirit to think, oh, here we go again. I know we're talking about third, fourth string type of individuals, but Swan was one of those guys we thought was going to be at least a guy competing for a starting job or being a nickel guy for the New Orleans Saints. And they had some bright spots. So let's kind of revisit what happened on last weekend just briefly. Barry, what was some of the, I would say, the most impactful guys out there that you saw on the field just in a few minutes, because we're kind of wrapping things up? What were some of the more impactful guys that were out there in Cleveland?
Well, certainly Alvin Kamara is dynamite. I mean, this kid is going to be a star in the league. He's in that same mold as the Reggie Bushes and Darren Sproles and your scat backs, so to speak, for lack of a better term, in the Saints offense in years past. And yeah, he's got the potential to be better than any of them. As great as Bush was coming out of college at USC. I mean, he's just a phenomenal player. He is perfect for this type of offense. And the thing that everybody always forgets about Kamara is he could be a lead running back. At Tennessee, he was a lead back. I mean, he's got all the moves and can do all the things, and great receiver out of the backfield and can play that scat back role. But he's a guy who can actually get 20, 25 touches in a game and be a lead back. He's perfectly capable of doing it and has done so in the past. So that, to me, was the most impressive thing that I saw personally from him. On defense, what I really, really liked was Alex Anzalone, the rookie linebacker out of Florida. Really does some good things. Man, he can move sideline to sideline. Is great in pass coverage. I mean, for a rookie, now I don't want to say he's great and say he's going to be the next member of the Dome Patrol or anything, but for a rookie, I'm impressed personally. I'm sure Coach has some thoughts about it as well, but I'm just very impressed for a rookie linebacker that he's playing at the level he's already playing at. 3 weeks in the training camp and 1 preseason game. No, of course, a long way to go. A lot of things could happen, but just based on what I've seen so far, very impressed with that young man.
Okay,
Kyle, one of your favorites, Al-Quadin
Muhammad. I told you.
Yeah, one of your favorites. I know for a fact. Man, that kid looks great. I mean, I granted he took advantage of some playing time because there was some injuries. Trey Hendrickson didn't play, Kikaha only played briefly, and Alex Okafor, I think, maybe played a couple snaps. So Muhammad got a lot of opportunities. They gave him a lot of playing time. I think he played like 52% or something of the snaps, but he looked good. And I think at first the thought was that he was going to be a quote-unquote project player. He still may be, but I think these last few days, and especially the last week in particular of camp and the game against the Browns, has opened some eyes. And I'm almost shocked if he doesn't make the 53-man roster. There's no way you're going to sneak him onto the practice squad, because I guarantee you somebody will snap him up if they try to get him on the practice squad. They'll have to either IR him, and at this point there's no reason to IR him. So I think he's got a good shot at being the very last defensive end that they keep at that spot. We'll see how that plays out.
All right. Well, good.
Yeah, those are the guys. Those are the 3 that really impressed me.
All right, good stuff. Coach, what were some of your bright stars or some of your lowlights from the Browns game?
Well, as they say in the preseason, the games don't matter, but they are important. They certainly are important for the players trying to, or the half of the roster who are battling to try to keep a job. And this is also where I think Sean Payton is really starting to get frustrated, and it's showing. This is where you develop the habits and the ability to make plays when plays need to be needed by your whole roster. This is where you learn how to win games. And the Saints are not learning how to win games right now. The 2 big mistakes, as you mentioned, one by Damian Swann, the other by Eric Harris. When you look at those closely, they could not have played those 2 situations any worse. You get bench time at St. James for making plays like those guys did. I mean, it was just fundamentally terrible, the plays that they made there. But Muhammad, his problem is that whether he can do it or not, it's how long he can do it. Consistency is a talent as well, being able to take excellence and extend it over a period of time. And he has demonstrated inconsistency on the field and certainly some bad decisions off the field. Let's hope that he's hit, because if he did, then he certainly can prove his worth in the NFL. Even though I thought the defensive line as a whole looked pretty good, even though when I really analyzed it, the player that did the best job throughout the game was the international player, Alex Jenkins. Now, when your practice squad player is the best overall player on your front, you got to start shaking your head. Wait a second, what am I looking at here? There's some more answers somewhere. Let's see how he improves, because his best thing is that he's athletic, has a lot of energy as well. So that'll be my thoughts on the defense. Offensively, Larry Warford is a much better player than we thought. I mean, we never saw that much of him unless you went back to the Lions. I didn't watch him play with Detroit. But he is working so beautifully with Zach Strief and even with Josh Laribas on the right side of the line. And he